Good morning! Wait. No. I need food. Come with me. Okay, got breakfast. Hello, my name's Thomas and I have just finished my third year of an astrophysics degree at the University of St Andrews, and wow, that feels weird to say. It also means it's been almost a year on YouTube. I'll sort that in a future video. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll have noticed that not only have I got more comfortable in front of the camera, but the quality of the video and the audio and all that has, well, shall we say, improved a bit over the last year since, well, this.
My name's Thomas and welcome to Inversion Science.
Yeah, it's got quite a lot better. Obviously, it's nothing compared to the likes of the professional YouTubers that I watch, like Peter McKinnon or Linus Tech Tips or Simon Clark. They've put a lot more money into this, they've been doing it quite a lot longer than I have, but I've put a fair amount in. I've spent quite a bit of money, I've bought a lot of gear over the last year. Well, I think maybe we should ask the question, did I need to? Was it all worth it? Did I actually get something good out of it? Or was it all a bit of a waste of money? Because I don't think you need all of this. I don't think I need the fancy camera and the big lights and the microphones and everything. Well, let's strip it all back. Let's turn off this softbox. Yeah, let's get rid of this mic. In fact, let's go one step further. This is my very tired Samsung Galaxy S8. It's getting its battery replaced in 2 days' time, and let's swap it out for my normal Canon DSLR. This is probably the most basic setup you can have. In fact, no, that's not true. I've got this on a tripod and a grip, and those are not 100% necessary. You could prop this up on a desk with some books or something like that. You don't need the tripod and the grip, but I've got them, so I'm going to use them, and also because there's nothing where my camera normally sits that I could prop it up on and still get this view. This is something that almost everybody can do. Almost everyone has a relatively modern smartphone. Now, I already said that mine is a Samsung Galaxy S8. It's, I think it came out a better part of 4 years ago now. Mine is better part of 3 years old now. And at the time, yes, it was pretty much top of the range. But now it's not so much. The camera's probably on par with a more mid-range phone now. But that's still fine. It does 1080p, 30 frames per second, and that's enough for YouTube. But this isn't really the ideal situation for this camera. It's probably fairly bright, but it's also fairly noisy. Let's see if we can improve the lighting situation. Maybe some natural light? You know what? No, I've just remembered I live in Scotland and it's raining. Let's not do the natural light thing. But that's actually not the biggest problem. Lighting is not the biggest issue we're having right now. The biggest problem we have here would appear to be, well, it's not visual, is it? It's the sound. Okay, so we've done one change to this whole setup, which is that I've turned this on. It was on the whole time, but I've hit record in Adobe Audition. And this is a USB microphone, it connects to a computer, and it's kind of the tried and tested workhorse of early career YouTubers. I've had mine now for, it must be about 7 years, I think, maybe more, and it still works great. I'll be honest, there are better microphones, but this one is pretty good and relatively inexpensive. I think it costs somewhere in the region of about £40 to £50 now. I think it was slightly more when I bought it, but that was a long time ago. And it works. This is probably the single biggest upgrade you can make to your setup if you don't want people to click off your video instantly. Of course, other microphone solutions are available, so
I've said this is a USB microphone, it's a USB condenser microphone. You can get dynamic microphones. In fact, what I normally use is this thing. It's a lavalier microphone or a lav mic. It's much smaller, it clips onto your clothing, and mine is just a normal 3.5mm TTRS jack. So it goes into a phone. I've got the adapter that lets me use it on a computer or a camera, something that doesn't have a 4-pole plug. It's got a normal, like a stereo plug. So these are great as well because they're far more portable. This is what I normally use. It's what I take with me when I go places, unless I know I'm going to be vlogging, and then I've got an on-camera microphone that I use. But it also lets me move about. I'm having to stay pretty close to this microphone so that I don't have wildly variable audio. This is what I normally use, put about here, because that means it's consistent, which is good for a video. It means I have to do much less editing. However, I must stress, neither of these are expensive. This, I think, cost about £50. I said that one is about the same. There are even cheaper solutions, but Rode, who made this one, which is a Rode SmartLav, and the Blue Snowball, which is now owned by Logitech, like, they're dependable brands, and I've had no cause for concern with any of them. So it's not expensive to fix your audio. So really there's not much excuse for it anymore. There used to be, there isn't now, and people will click off your video if you don't have at least passable audio. Now that we've fixed the awful audio, we still have a big issue with filming on this phone, which is the kind of, let's be honest, craptastic lighting. Currently, we're sitting in a naturally lit room with a window that's not really getting that much sun because it's Scotland. And this is going to be the situation that a lot of people are in. They're not going to be in a room that's got great outdoor lighting, and you might not have the best situation for recording. You might not be able to wait for the really sunny day. Not everyone can go and record outside, and not everyone has amazing room lighting. I mean, actually mine isn't on, so let me turn that on first. Now, that's actually not helped a massive amount, let's be honest. It's lit up this side of my face, but this side is still pretty damn shadowy. And yeah, we need to get some directional lighting that is designed for recording video. Now, you can do it with something like a bedside lamp or something that you can direct at you, and that works great as a sort of cheap starting thing. If you don't want to spend any money, brilliant option. But let's go slightly further. I have two things that I use for this. The first is the one that goes on my camera, and that is one of these. Now, this is a relatively inexpensive piece of kit. It's an LED light. Essentially, I press the button on the back, this thing lights up really bright, and we get far better lighting on my face. Now, this one was about £15, and it's incredibly bright, so I'm going to turn it down. But it has the wonderful advantage of being able to alter the colour temperature. So if I do that one, it goes very bright and blue. Whereas if I turn up this one, it goes very orange, and you can have anything in between to get whatever shade of white you want. I think this cost me about £15. It's battery powered, charges via micro USB, and it's great. I will put a link in the video description. It won't be sponsored or anything because I can't be bothered trying to set that up. But this is probably the easiest way to do it, and you can put it on a tripod, or it comes with a thing that lets you put it on top of a camera, like a DSLR. And this is great. You can prop it up anywhere. Like I could prop it up somewhere over there if it wasn't a door, and just point it over here just to get some more illumination on me when I'm recording. And it makes the camera get so much more light, and the more light you can get into a camera, the better the image will be. It'll be less noisy. The other solution, however, is a little bit more, shall we say, large? Let me just grab it off its stand. This is what I normally use. This is a Softbox from Raleno. It's the same brand that actually made the other lighting device that I was using before. And it's a bit, well, it's quite bright. My phone, I can see actually the mirror that's behind my phone has, well, it's adjusted its where so much you can actually see where the light bulb is in this thing. But it's rather bright to the point that, yeah, normally I have this on a stand pointed at me, and it's great. it's more expensive than the other one. I think I bought the other one for about £15. This one cost me something like 25, but it was on sale. I think normally they're closer to like 40 to £50. And I mean, it's great. I love this thing. I use it for all my videos. I use it for all my Twitch streams. Links in the description. I bounce it off a wall for those because it makes it a bit better with my webcam. Because again, webcam is quite similar to a phone in that you have very limited control over things like the exposure. So you don't want to overdo it because they're kind of terrible at working out what should be exposed well. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. This is what I normally use, but you can use the other thing. Again, this stuff is not expensive. It's at most like £50 for one of these, a Softbox, and £50 for like a mic like this. At most, that's what you need to spend. And you can spend a lot less if you're willing to buy used. I'm sure you can pick up some like used lighting stuff somewhere else. You can just use a desk lamp or something for lighting, and you can find some sort of microphone. Anything is probably better than what's in your phone or in your camera. So there's not really much of an excuse for it. You can put in a wee bit of money and make a massive difference. Okay, so now the softbox is back in its stand, and you can see I'm already far more evenly lit, and actually you've probably noticed a slight reduction in the noise as well, because before my phone was artificially increasing the exposure just to make me look somewhat recognisable as a person, whereas now it's got so much more light to deal with that it's not having to bring up shadows, and that doesn't add more noise. This is really why we use lighting, is just to make sure that we're minimising the amount of noise in our video. However, this is probably about as far as we can go at this point. We've got the lighting, which has cost us anywhere between about £15 to £50, unless you're just using a desk light, which is completely fine, might cost you nothing. We're using a better microphone, which costs us about £50, but you can spend a little bit less, or you can buy used. Used audio and lighting equipment is completely fine most of the time. But this is about as far as we can go. We spent less than £100 on this and improved the shot so much. But you'll notice this is a very wide shot, to be honest. You can see more of my legs than you ever see in any of these videos. This is probably about as far as we can go with a phone. We need to go sort of one step further if we're going to increase our quality from here. And this is where we kind of start spending a bit more money. Let me show you what I mean. This is my Canon 70D. It is a DSLR. That's a digital single lens reflex camera, I think. Yeah, so it's normally used for photography, but I use mine for video more of the time. I've got the flip out screen on mine. Great for video, especially when you're videoing yourself. Put it on the tripod, I can see the shot, I can be vlogging and I can see the shot. And it's just generally a lot better to work with. I get much more control over the shot. I can decide on color temperature, I can decide on shutter speed, on refresh rate, on aperture, and I'm going to stop talking about all these things and I'm going to put it on the tripod and show you what I mean. I get control of the focal length, which is the big one. Let's just show you. Okay, now I'm on the DSLR and I'm sure you can already see that the quality of this has just risen. It's a higher quality sensor, it's a better camera, it's a much better lens. I've also zoomed in quite a bit. I've now gone from the really wide view that you get with a phone camera to about 28mm on my 17 to 55mm lens, but that's a cropped sensor, so it's closer to about 40. And it's just a massive improvement. It's also better colour science because it's Canon, and Canon's colour science has been great for a long time, and it still is. And this was not cheap. This is probably the single most expensive thing that I have bought and used in these YouTube videos. The camera itself I bought used about almost a year ago now actually, and it's a Canon 70D. It cost me around £300 used for just the body. Now, I have some other lenses that I've bought over the last year as well, so they were quite expensive too when you add them all up. But this one is the most expensive one I have, and it's a Canon 17 to 55mm EFS lens with an f2.8 aperture. It's got image stabilizing, it's got autofocus, and I love it. It's so good. But it also cost me £307, I think. It was about that. So combined, this was about £300 for that setup. By the time you've added all my audio and my lighting, that gets you closer to £700. I've got batteries and all this other kit. I've spent quite a lot on this stuff, and I think it looks pretty good. Obviously I am biased. Obviously it is nothing compared to the likes of these professional YouTubers I talked about earlier. But this camera makes it look so much nicer than a phone. You're not seeing halfway down to my knees. You've got a sort of fuzzier background because it's not trying to keep everything in focus. And it just generally works better. Now, obviously there are still some flaws in it. Now, I'm currently still using this USB condenser microphone that's sitting off to the side here, just to show you that getting good audio is still necessary for using a DSLR. Let's just quickly switch to the built-in microphone of this camera. Let's switch now. So this is now the built-in audio from the camera, and it's worse than the phone probably. These things are not designed for recording audio. The idea is that this is enough audio that I can match it to this stuff by going like that. And that will then be synced up in an editing program, and that's just kind of, it's how we expect it to work. People buy cameras for the visuals, they don't buy cameras for the microphones. And yeah, let's be honest, if you're using one of these, this is definitely the first thing you do after you've got that. But hopefully you've taken something away from this. The things I want you to really take away from this is that the last thing you upgrade, the last thing that you upgrade when you're doing this is you upgrade the camera. The camera is the last thing you need to upgrade, as long as you've got something like a phone that can record video. A £5,000 camera can be beaten by a properly lit £300 used camera. I can produce a video that looks great out of one of these with a load of lighting and sound and stuff, and I could get something absolutely crap out of a £5,000 camera if I didn't light it properly. The video would still be terrible if I didn't get proper sound. This is my point, is that the camera's the last thing you need to do. It's why I've not bought a cam link and hooked up my camera to it and used that for my Twitch stream. It's why I use this. It's a 60 quid webcam. It's why I use that in my Twitch streams, because it's good enough. I bounce a light off the wall and I'm well enough lit for the Twitch streams, and I don't have to spend another £100 on a cam link. Now, there are so many other things I could talk about for improving this, but let's go back to the initial question. My initial question was all this stuff worth it? And I land on the side of, yeah, I think it was. I think it really was worth it. Now, there are some things I've probably gone a bit overkill on. I probably don't need this expensive lens. I probably could have kept using this, the kit lens. It's a same focal length, roughly 18-55 versus 17-55, and its aperture's not quite as good, and its glass is not quite as good, but it'd be good enough. You don't need to spend £300 on a lens. This one I think was about 80. A lot of cameras will come with one of these, even if you buy them used, and it's good enough, but I like that. This is good, but I like this. Oh, why am I quoting talk here? I get a kick out of using new tech. I get a kick out of the boost it gives to my videos, and I like doing photography, so these lenses get used for other things. They don't just get used for video. So when you ask me, is all this worth it? I come down on the side of yes, but you don't need it. I'm not going to tell you that gear doesn't matter. This entire video has been telling you that gear matters. But on YouTube, content is king, and there comes a point at which, while it's really nice to have better stuff, the content is what will really up the quality of the video. And I'll be honest, that's kind of what I'm still working on. So, the one thing that I need you to remember, if you're going to take anything away from this video, remember, fix your sound, fix your lighting, and only then get a better camera. The other thing you need to remember to do is like this video. If you've got this far, clearly you're interested. I'd also recommend that you subscribe, because like I said at the start of the video, I've been on YouTube for almost a year now. I've also had a year of the pandemic at university, and there's going to be a few really interesting videos coming out on that in the next few weeks. If there's anything else you'd like to see from me, make sure you comment down below. And in the meantime, I've been Thomas Rintoul. I will see you in the next video. See ya!